everybody. Welcome to Dubstock Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World with Dalton Johnson. I'm Kerith, Burke. Dalton, we're sitting here as the Warriors have lost consecutive games for the first time this season, and it was how they lost these games that are concerning. A 17-point lead against the Spurs unraveled, an 18-point lead tonight against the Nets. The depleted Nets, we really need to add. Looking at this total, they let the Nets score 128 points with a 41-point fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was, again, I mean, pretty much the same story that you said, consecutive games, big-time leads. The Warriors were up by 18 with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. They were outscored 60-34 after that. That just can't happen. It's inexcusable for a championship contending team, Kerr.
There you go. All right, so the record now 15-5. That drops them to second in the West, so we can take a breath. And, of course, Steve Kerr took a lot of questions about this. Here's his perspective on these types of losses and what it means for his team.
I mean, you don't want to overreact, right? I mean, 2 games ago, everyone's feeling great. We're 12-3. We got, big leads in the late third in both games. So we have to address what's happened these last 2 games. I don't think it's a fatigue thing. I think it's an execution thing. And so we'll have a practice tomorrow. Which will be great. We haven't had one in a week, so tomorrow will be a much-needed practice, and we'll have another one Friday. And so this week sets up pretty well for us to actually get a couple of days to execute, and hopefully that'll help us get back on track.
All right, so the Warriors 5-4 in clutch games this season. So yeah, they've already been in 9 clutch games this season with these kind of leads. Look at this, having these 2 losses consecutively like this with double-digit leads. Man. All right, so Steve said he doesn't feel like it's fatigue, he feels like it's execution. Okay, he's gonna have a practice tomorrow. Okay, so that means from his perspective, the legs are fresh. When I see a 41-point fourth quarter for your opponent, what is that? That's your team running out of gas or running out of care. And I don't think it's that. I really don't think it's that. You can look at the free throws as well. That's been a trend. To me, that's legs. So I don't know what they do. Is it Steph and everybody else? Is it the way the team is constructed? Is Steph tired? What's your read on all of this? Because it seems like there's a lot of layers here.
There are a lot of layers. It's a great way to say it, because I did think in San Antonio that it was a tired thing. They looked like they were fatigued in San Antonio. And you can say the same thing tonight when you see a lead go like that. Yeah. But yeah, you saw the execution just go away towards the end of the game. You saw late rotations defensively, some wide open 3-pointers, and it just felt like the Nets just had more force down the stretch, and they just found that extra juice that the Warriors are kind of searching for right now. They are led by a 36-year-old. They are led by a 34-year-old, and Steph Curry and Draymond Green. So I think as far as roster construction goes, this team was built on depth, but these last 2 games, to me, are kind of showing that, that argument of depth versus the kind of getting a second star, and how much that was needed, how much of a conversation that was in the offseason, because again, Steph can't be relied on every single night by any means. Yeah, he's still Steph Curry, still a superstar, but there's a reason that he's averaging just around 30 minutes a game, right?
I asked Steve about that. Will 30 minutes a game be about his average this season? And Steve explained, well, he's going to be penciled in for about 32. Okay. Get it, yeah. But that means you have to have more around Steph, and right now they just don't have it. Where the bench was fantastic to start the season, the bench has struggled a little bit lately. You're looking at, Jonathan Kuminga, another missed game because of an injury. You can see that Podge is frustrated. You can see that Buddy's cooled off. Sometimes the combinations in that second unit are Kevon Looney playing alongside Kyle Anderson. So some of this is Steve's decision making. Some of it is just individual guys going through something, but they're all going through it concurrently. Let's talk about Steph, because that lead coincided, losing the lead coincided with Steph going out in that third quarter, and then the bench just not being able to hold it, not being able to get stops. That's a trouble spot for this team.
It's a big-time trouble spot. I mean, I look at the first half, and you think about Moody scoring 15 points in the first half.
Yes.
And you're going, okay, here we go. It's one of those games where the youth is going to show up and give them that extra juice that they needed. Lindy Waters, he scored 10 of his 13 points in the first half. So it felt like a night like tonight, again, where you're playing multiple games in a short amount of time and days in between, where you need those guys to step up. Podziemski thought had a really strong first half. 6 assists, no turnovers. turnovers, but then still not able to find his shot and letting some open shots go. But look at some of these three-pointers. That's what I'm talking about as far as some late rotations, some open three-pointers. And against hot scorers like Cam Thomas, like they lost Cam Johnson at halftime, but then a Dennis Schroeder played like he turned back the clock and was an all-star tonight. So a tough overall game for this Warriors from top to bottom.
Well, and I'm also looking at those self-inflicted wounds. Again, free throws for the Warriors, turnovers for the Warriors. The Warriors came in with the worst free throw record in the league, about 70%. They were even below that in this game. Draymond missing the 2 free throws at the end. That's not why they lost, but that kind of stuff stings when you see that. Any sort of clawing back was just not going to happen with those. And then the turnovers in this game, when you give up 26 points off of turnovers, because the Warriors only had 1 more turnover than the Nets, but it was more devastating with what the Nets got from it. The Nets tried in this game. They pounced in this game, and the Warriors kind of rolled over. That's what's concerning me for this game. They just didn't feel like they had the energy, the juice, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, bigger concerns seem to be happening.
Yeah, that extra gear, it just seems to be kind of lost somewhere for the Warriors right now because, the Nets went right after Steph Curry early on. They were blitzing him from the get-go. They were face guarding him full court and saying, let's have somebody else beat us. And that's where, again, a young player like Moody was stepping up early on. But you got to be able to have a team-wide execution beyond Steph Curry when it starts to unravel like that. This can't be a one-man show. That's not what this team is constructed. It's not what this team is built on. It can't be a one-man versus 5, So, that's where it is concerning right now is seeing how is the other team finding the extra gear, the extra juice, and the Warriors just aren't. But like you brought up with the turnovers, it wasn't an egregious amount, but it's the execution by the Nets by scoring off turnovers. It reminds me of one of those games against the Clippers earlier this season where they didn't have a crazy amount of turnovers, but the Clippers scored 31 points off of turnovers. That's what can't happen. That's where it starts to unravel. And then the free throws. It really is becoming inexcusable at this time. I mean, I believe that the Nets scored, 16 more points at the free throw line than the Warriors in an 8-point loss. And then at the end, you brought up Draymond Green not being able to hit his free throws. Andrew Wiggins had a wide open layup where he rolled to the basket good, missed a layup. And there was multiple of those down the stretch. Just so many of those little things that started to domino an avalanche. And next thing you knew, you were just going, they're not going to find it. They're not going to be able to pull this one out.
Yeah, and when you send your opponent to the free throw line 30 times, okay, you slow down your own flow, okay? You like to play in transition. This is a great team in transition. Nope, we're just going to muck up this game. We're just going to slow it down, and then you face a set defense. You don't make anything easier for yourself. You're fouling when your team is in the bonus, and it just... Okay. Okay.
It's one of those ones, yes.
It's one of those ones. Okay. Let's talk about Steph again because this was an unusual game for him, a unique game. He was the leading scorer for the Warriors with 28. All of his points from the field came from 3. He hit 8 3-pointers. Sometimes when Steph gets going, that does feel like a dagger. He was 50% from 3 tonight. Outstanding. Even at a 4-point play. What did you think of that one when he celebrated his 4-point play?
I love the 4-point play. That whole sequence actually showed me exactly just how dynamic the duo of Draymond Green and Steph Curry are because previously, right before the shot that Steph made for the 4-point play, Draymond Green did such a great job defensively, jumping the switch and making Cam Thomas have to throw up a crazy shot from long distance. You get the long rebound that Steph gets, and here he is, just celebrating.
Did I get to the line?
A great time.
Did I? Did that feel like it was for the referees a little bit?
Yeah, and then you're kind of feeling, okay, here's the juice, right? Here's where you're going to start to feel the energy of chasing her, the energy of Steph Curry. But again, somehow, him making 8 3-pointers tonight, did it really feel like he made 8 3-pointers?
No, I had to do a double take at that.
Exactly.
I didn't, you're right. The feel of this game, something just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So, GPT was down at the podium. Maybe he has some words to explain this one.
Thoughts about the last 2 games and the blown leads. Just what do you think's the rhyme or reason for it?
We just got to come out with, same intensity and same flow that we do in the first and second. I don't know what it is with the third and the fourth. Is just we get away from, what got us there. But we're going to clean it up. Just figure out how to keep our flow and keep our rhythm, in the second half. And I think that'll help a lot. don't make it too easy on me.
Steve mentioned, it's been a talking point kind of throughout the season, but the need to improve offensive execution. What does that look like? How do you improve that, and in what situations are you guys not executing?
Practice. Only way to fix it, practice, get reps in, and, know our stuff, and in game situations like this, we just got to execute, be locked in and execute.
It's hard to fit in a lot of practices in the NBA schedule, as you know. Steve mentioned that this week you'll get 2 practices in, and that's important. How big do you think it is to get some more practice time in?
Well, yeah, like I said, just get our reps and, know what we're doing, know what the defense is doing, know what they want to do with us. Sometimes they switch, sometimes they blitz. So, know our ins and our outs. And like I said, just get in there and practice. When we do practice, get good quality reps and be locked in.
And Steve said that, 2 weeks ago the energy was much better, just team-wide. You're someone who brings a lot of energy personally, but why do you think just 17 games into the year that this team might be lacking energy?
We're probably not lacking energy. We just got to maintain it, and mostly in the second half. So whatever we got to do in that halftime to get us back, get our energy back going, and, to get our flow to what we do in the first half, we got to come out and do it. And, have that energy from start.
91 threes between the teams attempted in this game. The Nets had only one more than the Warriors, so it was not a product of threes. When we come back, we're going to talk about Moses Moody. Let's find a bright spot next.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for our Black Friday sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
Hey everybody, we're back on YouTube in all capital letters. The comment of the night: Nets wanted it more. Oof. That's what it felt like to have a 41-point fourth quarter. Your team wanted it more.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, we talk about this is a rebuilding team with the Nets. This is shorthanded by the Nets. And year after year after year, we've always heard about everyone wants to bring their A game against Steph Curry, Draymond, Steve Kerr, the Warriors in general. And this is a game where when you play a rebuilding team, yeah, this is a team full of guys that want to prove that they belong, that they should earn their next big contract. They have several former first-round picks who have kind of bounced around a little bit. I look at somebody like Keon Johnson, a handful of guys on this Nets team that, again, it's just trying to show, no, I can stick with these guys. I mean, Keon Johnson was kind of had a tough foul on Steph that, like, down near the Nets bench, and you can kind of see him jumping up and down after it. You saw Zaire Williams kind of going back and forth with Draymond Green, a former first-round pick from Stanford who's trying to show that he belongs. He's bounced around a little bit, used to be with the Memphis Grizzlies, and that's where I'm going, yeah, maybe they did want him more. It's hard to really talk for the players by saying that, but when you're showing that extra energy with young guys like that, you got to question a little bit.
I mean, I'm looking at no Simmons. He doesn't play on back-to-backs. No Claxton, no Clowney, no Dorian Finney-Smith. All these guys are wounded. Bogdanovich hasn't played this season because he's recovering from Steph. So you're just talking about a very depleted team. Okay, but they came in here. They were also playing on the second night of a back-to-back.
Yes, great point. Yeah.
Okay, Warriors. I really thought that this would be kind of a get-right game to just sort of flush the Spurs. Get ready, get all your habits in place.
That's how it felt early on, too.
Refocus, get ready for OKC. Nets had other... Hey, it's not all gloom and doom here on Dubstock. We got to talk about Moses Moody. You mentioned it a little bit. His second quarter was explosive. We got to roll this tape too, because watching this whole sequence, Moses Moody scored 9 consecutive points. Look at the hunger. Look at the hunger. But what were you thinking when you were observing Moses Moody work inside?
Right there, flex on him. That's what I love to see. I mean, we've talked about it where Steve Kerr says, hey, his three-point shot should be his fastball, but I love seeing these guys go downhill. Moses Moody leading, going inside to outside, then he hits the corner three. but I love him. I love seeing him play in the chest, get his shoulder in there, and find ways to go. Look at this. It's just constant effort, constant motion. This is what you're talking about with young guys being able to bring that extra juice for a team that's led by guys that are later in their 30s. You need these kind of performances from Moses Moody. You need them out of Jonathan Kuminga when he's healthy, obviously. Missed 2 straight games to an illness, but that's a great sequence from Moses Moody. Exactly what you expect out of Moses Moody. Now it's just kind of completing it for 4 full quarters. He didn't get as many opportunities in the second half at all, but he was one of a handful of guys that it felt like, as things were unraveling, kind of looking for somebody else to get the job done.
I mean, and maybe the question is, well, why? Why did Moses Moody only get 16 minutes in this game? Anytime we talk about Moses Moody, the comment section goes, but it's all positive for Moody. It's like, Moody needs to play more minutes. Moody, low-key, having a big season. Yes, do all of those things. He's a guy who makes the most of his minutes. His sequence was like layup, 3, lay, just boom. He really helped build that lead heading into halftime where you're thinking, oh, okay, all right, feels good for the Warriors, okay, and then didn't really see a lot of Moses Moody after that.
Yeah, it's been questioned for Seafer for a while now. Why not more Moses Moody? It seems like always. Because, again, that's a sequence that you want to reward, right? I love seeing the extra effort that he was getting, and I love that it was just no hesitation, whether it was cutting to the basket, whether it was going on against a body, or whether it was going, I'm in motion, I found the three-point line, I'm going to let it fly. No hesitation from Moses Moody, and that's what it needs to be for all 82 games for him. Because that's where you're starting to go, I'm seeing a little bit of hesitation down the stretch from some of the young guys, some of the veterans, etc. That's what I was talking about as far as looking for somebody else. I want, whether it's Moses Moody, Lindy Waters, Brandon Podziemski, doesn't matter. You find an open shot, let it fly. You know, that's going to then open up things for a Steph Curry. They're going to make anybody else besides Steph beat them. So prove that they cannot do that as an opposing coaching staff.
Yeah, Moses Moody, one of the only guys in double-digit scoring. He finished with the 15. And he said something interesting post-game, that he's not afraid of, this wasn't the word he uses, let me just make sure, not running from contact. In fact, even encouraging contact. And that's something that a fourth-year player would say, like, I know what to do now. I'm not backing down from anybody. And you see it in his aggression and the way that he's scoring from all over the floor. All right, we can talk about another bright spot in this one. Brandon Podziemski. And I say a bright spot because this was a better game for him. 6 assists for Brandon Podziemski, 0 turnovers, arrived at 7 points, had 1 3-pointer. But we want to show you this video. This is something that we need to nitpick a little bit when it comes to Podziemski, who did, again, have a better game. Here's the 3 that he dialed up, and he has not been shooting the 3 well. Steph celebrating, Buddy celebrating, but watch what happens afterward. What did he want here?
He felt like he got hit in the head, and he's letting the ref know. You can see his hair flop a little bit. And so the positive that I'm first going to take from it is that he missed a three-pointer just seconds before. And then on that one, he takes takes one dribble and makes a 3, pretty much contested. But it's the frustration that you're seeing where that can't be a thing for Brandon Podziemski, because he is very confident. He's very much a competitor. But if you were noticing, if you're watching from our vantage point, you saw during that timeout, Buddy Hield goes right to him as a veteran presence, as someone who's a great three-point shooter as well, and goes, hey, he's almost pointing his head and kind of trying to grab his chest going, that's the last thing we need right now. Calm down, great shot, but why give the refs or the other team that energy at all? Keep it within yourself. You know, keep the positivity, because, again, there's no need for that extra unnecessary energy for anybody else.
Yeah, you could even see on that video immediately GP2 turned to him and was like, no, don't. You made this 3. Just go back up the court, get back on defense. Don't say anything to the referees in that moment. And you notice Buddy doing that as well. And my concern for Pods, and I know he's been frustrated with his 3-point shooting. Okay, you're a second-year player in this league. You don't want to get that reputation as the guy who whines to the refs. You don't. Take care of your business, even if you're right. I mean, even if you're right that, hey, maybe that was something. And I don't think it was right there just watching the replay. But I understand his frustration. Just don't be that guy.
You need to earn that. I mean, that takes years. That takes a little bit of star status. Look, Brandon Podziemski had a great rookie year. He's someone that the Warriors believe in long-term and short-term. They've been talking with him. They're trying to kind of calm him down a little bit, tell him to play within himself. And I don't think that they're overly concerned about the shot continuing to falter as it has been. But that is just like such a great example of what they're trying to avoid right now.
Yeah.
Is saying, hey, maybe you got hit in the head a little bit, but it's not egregious. That's not the situation or the kind of foul to really give the refs that kind of energy. But again, you need to be able to earn that reputation eventually. Steph Curry is someone who can talk with the refs after, have a constructive conversation with them. Brandon Podziemski, not quite yet.
And yes, sometimes attitude stuff can be contagious in a game.
Very much so,
So
yes.
I did think it was positive that teammates immediately were like, no, don't do that. Just simmer down. Next play. All right, the YouTube comments popping tonight. There you go. Why don't we talk about one of those if that can pop up? Yeah, Kuminga is a big loss. Would have been productive against the Spurs and Nets. Yeah, I think so. This game, it felt like, especially in the first half, it was like 3. Okay, how about some attacking inside? Which Andrew Wiggins did in this game. As far as Kuminga, he's missed the last 2 games with an illness. Not sure what that illness is, but hopefully he can practice tomorrow and then make his mark against OKC.
Yeah, I think his legs tonight and against San Antonio were both missed big time.
You say legs or length?
Or
both. Or both.
Yes,
yeah.
His length, his legs, his activity. You know, that extra energy that he does bring, the downhill, as you brought up, going to the paint. Look, the Warriors scored a ton more points in the paint than the Nets tonight. They did the same thing in San Antonio until it started to unravel in the fourth quarter. But overall, I thought they did a great job of attacking and getting to the paint. But when the offense is starting to slow down a little bit, when your shots aren't going down, when you're starting to settle a little bit, things are getting stagnant, that's when you need the kind of athlete that Jonathan Kuminga is, to go 1 dribble or 2 dribbles, get downhill, and get up and get to the rim. So I think his loss was definitely felt in these last 2 games.
Yeah. All right, another YouTube comment, this one about Pods. I like Pods. He brings a lot of energy to the team, and he takes great charges. Yes, I didn't mention that. So in addition to having 6 assists and 0 turnovers, he took a charge tonight. So Pods is engaged. That tells me the other stuff in his game will come. If he's frustrated with the shot, the basketball gods will reward you if you keep doing the right things.
Exactly. I mean, he does have winning impact on a nightly basis when it comes to taking charges, all the little things. You see, it doesn't matter if he has a broken nose, if he has a mask, no mask, anything, he's still going to get his nose towards the ball, go in for those rebounds, take charges, dive for loose balls. Those are all the things that the Warriors love about him, and it's one of the many reasons that they still believe, first, again, short-term and long-term, that the shot will come to Brandon Podziemski because they believe in the winning impact that he brings on the court.
Also credited with a block shot in this game. So there you go. Pods making his impact in this game. All right, when we come back, we were already talking about the fact that the Warriors have lost 2 straight games. What is coming up on the schedule? It's the #1 team in the West now. It's OKC. We need to look ahead at what the Warriors are facing because it's daunting. Yeah, Bailey is saying, continuing the Pods conversation, he can learn a lot from the vets on the team about overcoming adversity being so young in the league. You know, Pods looks at Steph all the time. He watches Steph. He's even kind of adopted like the warm-up trick shots and that sort of thing. He always notices what Steph is doing. So has he noticed that Steph doesn't get calls?
Right.
And that Steph picks his spots to complain to the referees about that? Because Steph will talk. He doesn't want to be a pushover. But he's not being extremely demonstrative. I do feel like Pods is in his head and being a little bit too demonstrative.
Yeah, he's been in his head, and the Warriors know that. They know that he's been pressing, definitely. That's why he's had conversations with Steve Kerr, with Mike Dunleavy, with the veterans on this team. And something that I think that, whether it's Brandon Podziemski or anybody else on this team, needs to notice from Steph. He missed a couple threes tonight, and you can see a little bit of frustration, but most of the time when he misses a shot, it's the same reaction as when he makes a shot. He is very nonchalant. He sees it, he misses it, okay, I'm going to drop back on defense.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
Yeah.
That's what a leader does.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think the young guys really need to take account of, because it's something that you can miss very easily, but it goes such a long way to see a superstar like Steph Curry not arms up, smacking himself every time he misses a shot.
Yeah, I get really irked when I watch Luka, for example, kind of work the refs, and I'm just like, just get back on defense, man. Like, okay, everybody thinks they got fouled. No blood, no foul. No, I don't believe that. But and you know that Steph is frustrated. Sometimes that comes out in his celebrations that are a little bit too much like, referee. But yeah, I just don't think Pods at this stage. All right, we're back on Dubs Talk. Looking ahead on the schedule, the Warriors stay at home to face OKC, the #1 team in the league. I think OKC is going to remember the Warriors beating them, okay? They're going to come into this game hungry, and then they have a little Thanksgiving break. And then right away, you've got the Suns, the Nuggets, you've got the Rockets, and the Timberwolves. I was like, the who? The who? Sorry, I needed to squint at that one. These are winning teams. We were just talking about the fact that the last 4 games were a little soft spot on the roster. That maybe happens 2 or 3 times in a season. The Warriors went 2-2 in this soft spot. So they didn't get, they had winnable games with the types of leads that they have. They didn't get those W's. And now, oh man, it doesn't get any easier. What do you think about this stretch coming up?
It's an absolute gauntlet starting with the Thunder. I mean, you look at this at the schedule, and it really doesn't get. There's not a bad team, quote unquote, until the Philadelphia 76ers. When everything's going right and they're all healthy, they shouldn't be a bad team. They're a team that thought they were going to contend this year, but that game isn't until January 2nd. The schedule gets really tough, and that's why this 4-game stretch was so important. But with the Thunder, they're not going to have Chet Holmgren. We know that. But they have Isaiah Hartenstein now, and he is a perfect fit for this Thunder team. Tonight, 17 points, 10 rebounds, plus 18. He's a big man you got to get a body on with this smaller Warriors team. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Warriors adjust to the addition of Hartenstein on this OKC Thunder team.
All right, and I keep going back to something that Steve Kerr said. He's like, don't overreact. And then also the fact that the Warriors will have a practice tomorrow. I think he says he's going to have 2 practices this week. And you don't usually do that a lot during the season because of the legs that the team, like you want to preserve the legs. It's not going to be a scrimmage, I don't anticipate. That would be ridiculous to scrimmage right before a game. But execution, when he's talking about execution, to have a practice, what do you think they'll work on tomorrow?
I expect a lot of film, and I expect, execution being the main thing. Taking care of the ball, finding time to get your free throws down. Again, everyone being in sync, and none of this one-man show by any means, right? That's where everyone needs to be dialed in together. I think practice is great for this team right now. Look, we know that they're probably going to have a longer practice tomorrow. Friday will be a practice day too. So to get any practice time on an NBA schedule is vital for a team.
Yeah, the individual stuff that needs to happen is free throws. I mean, that's you don't really practice. That's a before practice or after practice thing.
But you have to find time for it right now, the way it's going for this team.
Yeah, 30th in the league, worst in the league. Not why they lost tonight, but they missed 8 of them and they happened to lose by 8. It all adds up. The little things, the margins are small. All right, thanks everybody for watching Dubs Talk, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. We'll see you soon. This is Bree Branks, #1 Moody fan. I love it. Justice for Moody. I mean, you're onto something. Maybe he needs to play more. How can we say that every season? Moses Moody needs to play more.
It's every single season.
Okay. Free Moody. Free Moody.
100%, yeah,
Man,
right?
oh man, oh man. What else is in here? Yeah, hopefully Kuminga will be at practice tomorrow. I hope so too. I hope that whatever the illness is, and we don't know if it's the same illness that is bit guys. Who had it? Pods, Looney, Kuminga?
Yeah, Pods, they
Okay.
still never really figured out what exactly he was going with,
what
because
that
it was,
was.
I think, a little bit different than just a
Yeah.
pure
I don't know.
stomach bug or anything like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Looney, Kuminga now, it's tough.
Okay.
you
Wash your
know?
hands, everybody. I don't know. I think that's all we have in there. I mean, the sticking point, if I have to talk about this game tomorrow, it's the 41-point fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It's the turnovers. And it's the what the heck happened to this lead that coincided with Steph sitting in the third quarter.
Surely, yeah. I mean, they have to figure it out. Like I said, from some 7 minutes in the third quarter on, outscored 60-34. That cannot happen.
No
Especially
stops.
against, again, a shorthanded rebuilding Brooklyn Nets team,
Yeah.
and you see yourself as a contending team in the Warriors. that's just not a recipe for success.
Yeah.
Simple
Okay.
as that.
All right, guys, on to the next one. We'll see you for that OKC game.